do have breaking news out of Washington, D.C. The latest from the White House Correspondents' Center, the Secret Service has a person in custody after shots were fired at the Correspondents' Dinner.
This is a fictional dramatization inspired by real-world threats and is created for storytelling purposes only. 4:11 p.m. Eastern Time, Washington, D.C., or shots fired inside the outer security perimeter of the White House. The voice came through calm but urgent, the kind of tone that only exists when chaos has already begun. An armed man had breached one of the most fortified zones on Earth and pulled the trigger. Within seconds, Secret Service agents reacted like a single organism, bodies moving faster than thought, weapons drawn, lines collapsing, snipers locking angles from rooftops you will never see, and exactly 7 minutes later, he was on his knees, breathing, alive, surrounded, controlled. But those 7 minutes were never the real story. They were the spark, the distraction, the signal that something much bigger had already been set in motion, because while the world's attention locked onto Washington, something else, something far more dangerous, was unfolding in the dark. Hours earlier, 3:32 a.m. in Phoenix, Arizona, the city lay silent under a dry desert night, empty highways stretching like veins, neon lights flickering against closed storefronts, no movement, no warning, until suddenly everything shifted. Black SUVs rolled without headlights, unmarked vans slid through intersections like ghosts. Helicopters hovered high enough to stay invisible, but low enough to strike. And across encrypted channels, a single word echoed, "Execute." Over 300 federal agents moved in synchronized precision, FBI, DEA, ICE, DHS, SWAT teams, stacking against doors, weapons tight, breathing controlled, 19 separate cartel-linked locations targeted simultaneously. No sirens, no announcements, just controlled violence. The first breach hit a cartel-controlled nightclub. Music still pulsing through the walls, lights flashing, people unaware. Then flashbangs detonated. Sound collapsed into pure chaos. Agents flooded in, black silhouettes cutting through confusion. Cartel members reaching for weapons they would never fire, bodies hitting the ground, hands restrained. The illusion shattered in seconds. Across the city, a wellness spa was breached, but inside it wasn't business. It was a holding facility, locked rooms, hidden corridors, human trafficking victims trapped behind reinforced doors. ICE agents forced entry, breaking locks, pulling victims out into light they hadn't seen in weeks. Some didn't speak, some couldn't. Fear turning slowly into fragile relief. 2 miles north, a warehouse marked as a logistics hub was hit next, but inside it was something else entirely. A full-scale drug superlab, industrial mixers churning chemicals, the air thick with toxic fumes, methamphetamine being produced in massive quantities, hidden compartments revealing bricks of cocaine stacked behind false walls, heroin vacuum-sealed and labeled as food shipments, and fentanyl everywhere, pressed into pills, packed into containers, enough to poison entire cities by 3:51 a.m. The numbers were already overwhelming. Over 2.3 tons of narcotics seized, more than 2.8 million fentanyl pills recovered, $18 million in cash stacked in duffel bags, weapons caches including assault rifles, pistols, modified submachine guns, enough firepower to equip an organized militia. But then agents discovered something that didn't belong, a reinforced steel chamber hidden beneath the warehouse floor, cut open with precision tools. Inside, servers, advanced, silent, far beyond typical cartel operations, military-grade encryption shielding every byte of data, and on a single terminal screen, glowing faintly in the dark, a name appeared, Project Iron Veil. And in that moment, the operation changed from a raid into something else entirely, something systemic. 6:12 a.m. FBI Cyber Division, Quantico, Virginia. Analysts sat in near darkness, screens illuminating focused faces, lines of code cascading endlessly. encryption layers resisting, systems pushing back, but slowly, relentlessly, the walls came down, one layer at a time, until finally the system opened. And what they saw wasn't just data, it was a network. Massive, organized, deliberate, a living map of operations stretching across states and beyond, shell corporations, masking revenue streams, fake charities, laundering funds under humanitarian labels, restaurant chains, funneling dirty money through clean books, agricultural companies disguising narcotics shipments as produce, logistics firms coordinating movement with military precision, money flowing through offshore accounts across continents. Every transaction tracked, every movement logged, every route optimized, all connected under one operational structure. Project Iron Veil wasn't chaos, it was design. A system engineered to move tons of narcotics every week without detection. Cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, but most critically fentanyl, the deadliest product, the most profitable. And then they found the key, a digital signature embedded across multiple layers of the system, authorizing shipments, clearing routes, creating enforcement blind spots. It appeared again and again, consistent, precise, controlled. And when analysts traced it back, it led to a single identity. Governor Elias Vorn, a fictional state governor, publicly a reformist figure, strong on crime, vocal on border security, a symbol of law and order, but privately, the architect of the entire system, the one who didn't just allow cartel operations, but directed them, protected them, optimized them. This wasn't corruption, this was command-level collusion, this wasn't failure, this was engineered control, and the system he built was already operating at full capacity, 4:45 a.m. The next day, a federal command center lit by a massive digital display, red markers pulsing across Arizona, Texas, California, New Mexico, each one representing an active node in the network, dozens of them, all connected, all functioning, until the order came, clear and final. Full spectrum takedown. Over 1,200 federal agents mobilized instantly, SWAT teams, DEA strike units, ICE tactical forces, FBI field divisions, DHS coordination units, Black Hawk helicopters lifting into the sky, armored vehicles sealing routes. At the border, F-15 fighter jets roared overhead in low passes, not to engage, but to dominate. To send a message that control had shifted. 5:12 a.m., the raids began, simultaneous, relentless, in the Arizona desert. A hidden underground super lab beneath an abandoned mining site was breached. Explosive charges tearing open reinforced doors. Agents flooding narrow tunnels filled with chemical fumes. Armed guards attempting resistance. Gunfire echoing briefly before being silenced. The facility secured in minutes. In Texas, a hilltop mansion disguised as a luxury residence turned out to be a fortified drug stronghold. Guards engaged, a short firefight erupted and ended quickly. Inside, agents found gold-plated weapons, encrypted communication systems, and a private tunnel stretching miles underground. Near the California border, a convoy of 6 trucks labeled as agricultural shipments was intercepted, routine on the surface, but inside, hundreds of kilos of cocaine and nearly 1 million fentanyl pills hidden within legitimate cargo. Further south, a migrant smuggling hub disguised as a humanitarian aid center was shut down. Victims rescued, operators detained. Across all locations, servers were seized, cash recovered, weapons confiscated, cartel members captured, and at exactly 6:03 a.m., Daru, Governor Elias Vorn was taken into custody. No media coverage, no public announcement, just a silent removal of power. In 6 hours, the network suffered more damage than in the previous 6 years combined. But the deeper truth was still emerging. Investigators dug through seized data, emails, patrol schedules, dispatch logs, financial transactions. Patterns began to form. Disturbing, undeniable patterns. Law enforcement wasn't just infiltrated. It was compromised, controlled, Over 100 personnel identified across multiple agencies, border agents, local police officers, supervisors, command-level officials, all receiving payments through layered financial systems, cryptocurrency wallets, shell company salaries, disguised consulting fees, entire patrol routes altered to create safe corridors for cartel convoys, inspection stations shut down at precise times, raid plans leaked before execution, operations compromised from within. One veteran officer said it clearly, "We weren't chasing them, we were guiding them." Arrests followed rapidly, deputy chiefs, sergeants, intelligence coordinators all taken down. This wasn't isolated corruption. It was a parallel enforcement system, a second law structure operating in the shadows, loyal not to law but to the cartel, and at its center, Governor Vorn. The system wasn't broken, it had been replaced. And then came the final revelation when analysts expanded the network map beyond state borders. It grew larger: ports, rail systems, shipping lanes, agricultural routes, energy infrastructure, even federal programs used as operational cover. Everything interconnected, everything exploited. Estimates showed the network could move up to 4 tons of narcotics per week without triggering detection systems. Shipping manifests altered, cargo inspections bypassed, security gaps engineered in advance, human trafficking routes used as distraction layers, migrant flows manipulated to overwhelm enforcement while high-value shipments moved freely, and buried deep within the system was a final file, labeled Phase Dominion. The long-term, objective, permanent control, embedding loyal figures into governance structures, transforming regions into sustained cartel strongholds, creating a shadow system that would survive leadership changes, outlast administrations, expand quietly. An analyst summarized it in one line: this wasn't infiltration, this was replacement. And that realization changed everything, because power doesn't always come from violence. Sometimes it comes from silence, from ambition, from choices made behind closed doors, the cost measured in lives lost to fentanyl, families destroyed by addiction, communities shattered by cocaine and heroin, victims trapped in human trafficking networks, stories erased before they are ever heard. This story is fictional, but the warning is real. Systems can be bent, power can be redirected, and silence can be the most dangerous weapon of all. If you're still watching, tap like so more people see this story. Comment expose if you believe